Good afternoon, folks. We are alive and up and running once again. Let me get everything switched over to the right layout, and we will pick up today's drawing stream. All right, let me turn on the BGM. We are running through my BGM playlist. It's been a little bit, so it'll be a mix of original tracks in the background today. All right. So, as I hinted the other day when we were talking about today's drawing stream, we are going to continue the exercise from last time, since I've only done this with this format once so far. And we are going to continue with the forward-facing layout and work through some additional ideas and kind of brainstorm concepts for character outfits going through the different races from the universe of fiction. And we'll start with the female model. And I think I know which one I'm going to do next. I'm going to start with, I think this one's going to be more just casual clothing. And thinking about the style, this particular race does like kind of cut off moderately revealing clothes compared to some of the other ones we've seen. And so I'm thinking we go actually kind of an asymmetrical dress type look for this one. And it should be a little more obvious. Actually, we can do it from this side, and then we'll fix it when we mirror it. Hey, Red Dragon's here. What's up, Red Dragon? How goes it today? Welcome to the drawing stream. Okay, what I'd like to do is have the dress coming down here, maybe a little bit further down, like this. So this is going to be more of an asymmetrical design, but we'll just leave it aligned here so we can fix it once we start mirroring stuff. Our dragon says it's going okay, thanks. You? I'm doing all right. It's been a really busy, hectic day at the old Earth job. Trying to get a lot of things finished since I'm going to be out of pocket for a little bit, starting tomorrow. But I got a few things done. Ended up being in meetings most of the day, which was not conducive to getting things done. But other than that, all right. As soon as we get off the stream today, I got to go figure out what I'm going to eat for dinner and finish packing. So I got to go to sleep early. I'm flying at the butt crack of dawn tomorrow. I got to be at the airport by like 5 a.m. I'm going to have to go to sleep early. And that is not going to be easy considering I never go to sleep early. But hopefully it shouldn't be busy at ye old airport since it's earlier than most. Sleep on the plane. Yeah, I'll probably take a nap on the plane. Just put some music on. My flight is a few hours, so not just a hop and a skip, but not super long like going across the country. Okay, let's think about what we want to do for the arms. Thinking this one we have sort of a cutoff shirt. We'll make this one a little bit more kind of loose instead of form-fitting like a bodysuit, since we've done that a couple times. This is just more of a regular fabric. And if we were to color code it with some shading, it would match down here. This is what's being worn underneath this kind of cut off garment on top. I think what we'll do is we'll switch up the accessories on this one. And I'm zoomed in a little bit close here. But we'll put on our left, on this side, we'll do some kind of accessories, maybe like an arm bangle or something. What have we done so far on some of these other ones? Oh, we haven't done that. Yeah, we'll put that on the opposite side. I seem to default to putting it on the right. It doesn't really matter for the sake of the design, but we'll add that in after we mirror things. Reminds me, Red Dragon, I was gonna ask if you got a chance to try out the new Arch-Tempered Raid Owl fight in Wilds. It went live yesterday. Did you get a chance to try it yet? Oh, you did? How'd it go? Did you beat it on your first try? Solo? Four runs, nice. I just had a little bit of time before I went to sleep last night to give it a try. And so I tried it solo. I quadruple carded the first time with insurance. Beat it the second time right at the end on my last cart. And then I tried a 4-person group and we triple carded right as it was limping away because no one decided to put a trap down. I didn't have one. Oh, not solo? Okay. Yeah, that's not an easy fight. It's definitely challenging. The first time I did it with the Lance, that turned out to be incredibly difficult because of all of the explosions everywhere. And I got owned pretty bad. The second time I went in with duels, and that went a lot better. I'll definitely be farming that enough to make the armor for Laird. Skill set doesn't really seem super like meta focused, but it looks cool, so I definitely want enough tickets to make both versions of it to use in fashion hunting. But one thing I've seen people saying, the community seems to be somewhat split depending on their experience on whether they think it's too easy, too hard. But I thought it was plenty challenging. So if this is the level of difficulty they're looking to add with arch-tempered monsters in wilds in high rank, then I think in master rank, when the expansion comes out inevitably, then that should be pretty decently challenging. If they're going with the trend of giving all of the apexes an arch-tempered form, I imagine Uthduna, Big Fish Boy, is going to be next. Yeah, I've seen that Red Dragon. People have been saying it's easier than Tempered Mizu, but still difficult. I think it depends on the weapon you're playing. I don't have too much difficulty staying out of trouble for the most part with Tempered Mizu, whether I'm going like slower like the Lance or Gun Lance or faster like Duels or Longsword. Arch-Tempered Raid Ao has so much explosions. Using a guarding weapon seems more difficult because of how it locks you down and you get kind of stuck when all the explosions are going off. So I think I'll have to practice a bit more before I feel like I'm really competent at that fight with the Lance. Which is interesting because I like fighting regular and regular tempered Raid Ao with the Lance. It's a lot of fun. But it's not as dangerous as the arch-tempered version with stuff blowing up everywhere. Okay, you went longsword and bow. Bow doesn't seem that bad if you keep moving and you can use perfect dodge. But you get pinned with the wrong attacks, kind of backed into a corner. Then you're going to have a pretty rough time. It also doesn't help that I don't have fully upgraded armor. I'm still trying to work on maxing out my main sets that I'm using. Closest one is Duels, and that one I think starts with a negative thunder resistance, which is not good. Yeah, just don't get hit. That's the name of the game in Monster Hunter, right? Hit it till it dies, don't get hit. Problem with Arch-Tempered Raid Ao is there's stuff exploding all over. The first couple times I kept getting away from the initial hits and then getting smacked by the explosions from the lightning right after. So you have to time things a little bit differently because, especially for Lance, if you're going to try and counter, your counter is really only good for one hit. And so it becomes a matter of, are you going to counter? Are you going to dodge? Or are you going to kind of block and tank and then counter? Because if you go for the counter on the first hit, then you're going to probably eat the second. an arch-tempered level of damage scaling is going to be very interesting when some of the bigger hitters like Uthduna fish or Nudra the octopus get arch-tempered versions, since they have really big, wide-ranging attacks, kind of like Raidao. And I imagine they're going to hit like a freight train. I'll be surprised if the octopus's pin, where it grabs you and then lights you up with its flamethrower, if that's not a one-shot, then I'll be very surprised. Okay. So first one, female model, pretty simple. Kind of a more casual outfit, moderately covering, moderately revealing. Ended up going a bit more symmetrical on the dress, but having it joined at the side instead of one solid piece. Red Dragon says, I'm hoping for arch-tempered Mizu. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see arch-tempered versions of a lot of the big main monsters. Imagine an arch-tempered version of Zoshia. I don't know if we're going to get one of those. I think we're going to get a second form, kind of like we did with Safi Jiva and Xenojiva. And if we get a second form, I think it's going to be probably like a arch-temper version of that. Hey, first time chat from Mr. Pupple? Mr. Pupple, who also followed. Hey, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the drawing stream. Hope you enjoy your stay. Things are pretty chill around here. To give you a little bit of a background on what I do here, since I'm very bad at explaining what I do in my content whenever people stop by. My name is Raku, and I do a mix of art every once in a while, video game stuff, chill stuff, and music stuff with beatboxing and loop station. As for what I'm drawing, let me zoom out a bit here and kind of explain the format. I am doing character, costume, or outfit brainstorming designs here. These are original designs that are from a universe of fiction that I write. And basically we're going through different races that are part of this universe of fiction and drawing a mix of either armor or clothing. And we have male models and female models. In our last session we did these 4 up here, and we're starting down here at the bottom. And so the idea is to work with a front-facing, quote-unquote, symmetrical plane of perspective so that I could do things like mirror things or make them asymmetrical, since I haven't really done this on stream for this style of sketching. And so we're basically just playing around with ideas for costumes. And so now this one on the right is more kind of casual wear, regular clothing. So for this particular group, we want to go for an armor focused design. Mr. Pupple says, looks like something one of the characters from my cousin's game would wear. It's possible. One thing, we were just talking about Monster Hunter, which we do play a lot of and talk about a lot of here on the channel. A good portion of the more armor-based designs you'll see are fairly heavily inspired by designs you see in the video game series for Monster Hunter. They're not necessarily designed to be from that type of like universe or lore where it's like crafted out of monster parts, but some of the styles of armor I definitely like, and have kind of adapted some aspects of that into some things. All right. If you're Be right back. We'll be here. I may or may not have gotten further in what I'm doing. Feel free to come and go as you please. Okay, for this one, we're going to go for more kind of combat armor. Similar style of kind of cut off torso pieces, but I want to do gauntlets. And like arm guard gauntlets over here for this one. That is a signature style in armor for this particular race. And we've talked a bit about kind of in-universe lore and whatnot, and I won't recap everything for those who've heard me talk about it before. But if you're ever curious what we've done in previous streams, even outside of just this particular project, then all the archives for stuff we do here on Twitch are over on YouTube as well. In addition to stream archives and stuff like that, all of the random music related projects are there as well. Mr. Pupple says, you sound like my cousin too, in a good way. Oh, is the way I talk? I have been told before by people who stop by the streams that I have a very mellow, bordering on sleepy tone when I talk, which I guess is good, unless you get bored easily, I guess. I'm not really that like excitable when I'm streaming. You know, you're not gonna get the wacky YouTuber voice. Hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, I can't do that. If I was trying to fake it, it'd be very obvious and very fake. And I'm pretty sure people would never stick around if I tried to do that. But by the same token, I tend to ramble sometimes, especially when I'm talking about ideas or concepts. Okay, we want a kind of midsection guard piece here. Mr. Bubble says, that reminds me, guess what my cousin found recently? I don't know anything about your cousin, and we've only just met. So I'm gonna say something valuable. Either something valuable or something that was recovered or found recently. You can tell me if I'm close. Oh, okay. A note in a bottle? That's mysterious and at the same time intriguing. What did the note say? Was it from someone who was adrift at sea, like on a ship, or... I know some people like to put kind of like prank notes in there, just to kind of mess with folks. Okay, on the lower half, we're gonna go kind of thicker fabric fatigues, like you'd see on like maybe a more military type outfit. But we'll have the clothing inset with plates of armor. Kind of like it's adhered to the fabric itself or woven in. I'm adding some accents in between the plates here. These are kind of like decorative minerals or maybe stones that kind of bind different parts of the armor together. Okay, I mentioned I wanted to do kind of like arm guards. Or plated gauntlets that sort of start maybe right here from the shoulder and go down all the way to the hand and maybe cover the hand kind of like a clawed gauntlet. I don't know if it's got an official name in armor speak, but something similar. Hey, another first time chat from Super Free saying, hey, how goes it? It goes well. Welcome to the drawing stream. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. We are doing some character sketch concepts. And I see Mr. Pubble says, before I say what was on the note, I just want to clarify there was another note in the bottle which says it's part of an ARG. And if someone manages to find it, then it should not be taken seriously. Ah, like the disclaimer. That is an interesting, kind of more modern way to take the idea of a message in a bottle and kind of link it to an experience that people can have. I've actually never heard of people doing that, but it makes sense. Okay, let me give myself a little more room here. Oh, I just realized I put this on the same layer. I didn't want to do that. This design needs to be on its own layer so we can move it around where we need it to be. There, you can go hang out over there. Super Free says, saw you were drawing, thought I'd check you out. I'm drawing too. Oh, nice. Always good to run into a fellow artist. Kind of explain what I'm doing here, just to make sense. I am doing character outfit sketch concept ideas, as it were. One thing I work on that I haven't really talked a ton about it at length on stream is some writing fiction that I do. And so in order to get some ideas together, we are using this front-facing model template to sketch out some ideas for different races that are part of said fiction and lore. And just kind of kicking around ideas and chatting. I don't know what I'm going to use these for yet, but I like the idea of just doing some free concept drawing to get some ideas down on digital paper. And hang out with you lovely people. What are you drawing? Let's see. Mr. Pubble says, I don't even think it was meant to be found. I searched up the ARG the note was talking about, and there's footage of a dude throwing it into the ocean. Okay, so it's linked to someone's content that they've made online. That's kind of cool. Kind of random chance. I see Red Dragon is back, and Super Free says doing OC redesign. Nice. Nothing wrong with revisiting and kind of retooling OC concepts. Okay, here I have an explanation from Mr. Pupple. Here's what it said. I don't know where I am. Woke up alone on a cold concrete slab, ocean stretching in every direction. It's night, but lanterns glow like someone or something left them for me. I'm wearing strange clothes too. Strange clothes. Too bright, not mine. No phone, no food, just this journal. There are elevators on each corner, humming softly. I haven't touched them. Not yet. Not until I know more. If anyone finds this, my name is Jamly Jam, I think. Hope someone's looking for me. How long ago on the YouTube channel for that was that thrown in the ocean? Like, how much time has passed since that person decided to do this ARG thing? It is a neat concept. I like how people can be kind of creative with what they kind of craft from like a lore and again experience. I'm on the wrong stinking layer again. Yep. Fix that. Oh, thanks for linking. Thanks for linking Red Dragon. That is a link to Bandcamp if you're so interested in checking out the music that I make for fellow content creators and streamers, since I know Super Free was talking about drawing as well. If you are a YouTuber, streamer, content creator, and you need royalty-free background music, that is what Red Dragon's linking there on Bandcamp and also on Spotify and Tidal for streaming. The tracks that I make that you're also hearing in the background while we're drawing today are free to use. You don't have to ask permission to put them in content. I just ask that people credit me if possible. And there's kind of a mix of different styles, electronic type stuff, beatbox type stuff. And it's there for people to use. Alright, merge these so I stay on the right layer. Call this 3B. Oh, thanks for grabbing the band on the bot, Red Dragon. Oh, interesting. Mr. Pupple says the ARG is 2 years and a half. That's a pretty decent amount of time for, just a nondescript bottle to be floating in the ocean. But I guess if it's made of a strong enough glass, then, as long as it doesn't hit a reef or a ship or something, it'll just keep going. What you should do is you should message the content creator that created the video and the ARG and tell them you found it. That's correct, Red Dragon. No bots allowed here. This ain't no free ride. We've been averaging at least one of those chat bots per stream. I don't know, maybe it's bot season now. They're all coming out of the ground, creating alt accounts to dodge the reports and bans. Alright, for the legs on the male model here, we'll go for a bit more kind of armored bracer type look. Maybe something meant to offer a bit more protection from your melee or projectile based attacks. Huh, that bot was from only a few days ago. Well, short-lived, but I'm sure it served its purpose. I just want to know who falls for those. They must do it because someone does. You know, usually they post something in the chat with a shady link. But it must work. They wouldn't keep doing it if there wasn't at least one person it worked on. And that's a shame. Mr. Pupple says, I recently finished the ARG. Basically purgatory, facing physical manifestation of your sins or whatever. Huh. Interesting. How long did it take to complete the sequence for the ARG since you found the note? Like, did you have to go and search other media or things? I've never actually participated in ARG. I just know usually it involves a bunch of different pieces of content to form kind of an overall narrative and a story. Okay, we'll make sure we kind of define the texture of these parts that are meant to be more reinforced armor. There's not really any fabric as part of this design. Yeah, Red Dragon, I think they're talking about alternate or augmented reality game, kind of like a multimedia story or a thing that you interface with. I've seen some people do really creative things with that concept. And it's kind of about going on the journey of exploring whatever the concept is from start to finish. That's neat. Mr. Pupple, if you want to put the name of the YouTube channel or the name of the game, I don't have regular link perms for just general chat due to security reasons, but if you have the name of the project that people can look up if they want to, feel free to put the name in the chat. And if anyone's curious about checking the game out, then they can do that. Roblox Grace, huh? Okay. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing the story and your experience. All right. I think we can just about mirror this particular design. And we'll compare this one to the one we just did. We'll duplicate that, flip it horizontally. I can't remember if I talked about this on the last drawing stream when we were using this format, but I'm not really experimenting with character builds here since that's not really the point. I'm using a base template just so I don't have to redraw like a primary shape and keep consistent. But the intention is not to just lock designs to like certain body or build types. It's just using a consistent one so I can get the outfit designs together. That's what matters more to me than any physical attributes. That's why these characters don't have hair or facial features. It's more about the outfit. Okay, let's compare this one to the one we just finished. And we'll group these two together. They'll go... Let's see, where did we start? We started on the right, so these two will go in the top row, so that'll be 6, rows of 6. Okay, I see Mr. Pupple's talking about the associated game. 5,000 active users. That's a pretty decent community of people. This is just for this Roblox Grace game, specifically. Yeah, you're right. There's a decent amount of people all participating and playing that. And it's been around for a couple years. All right, let's go ahead and save our progress here. And now let me see. Okay, I think I know who we need to focus on next in the sequence. So we'll go back to front primary for the female model. And I think we'll need to hide these two. Maybe not. Let me see if I can slide this over. Yeah, that's fine. It'll get things evenly spaced. We have rows of 6. Sets of 2, rows of 6. This will be set number 4. Now, for this one, we're going to go for kind of a more of a longer, obscuring coat. And this particular group is a fan of things that are kind of high collar. I don't know what the name of this particular style of coat is. But the actual part that goes above the shoulders and the neck, maybe I'll taper it a bit. It covers the bottom of the mouth, potentially. Kind of functions like a mask, too, in a pinch. And we'll go armor first on this one. think the coat itself, in addition to being kind of a longer garment, is going to have like a bit of kind of plating adhered to the surface of the fabric. So if we think of this just like a layer above, it's not attached to this part down here, so I need to make sure I kind of distinguish the way it's layered. In fact, we can go like this. I'll make it a little bit easier to tell. This is what's covering like the main part of the torso and the chest. And to kind of defy the standard tropes, especially for female armor, where you have things kind of vacuum formed to the chest, this is more an actual plating that covers something functionally, so there's no like contouring. It's meant to be an actual like plated armor covering the vitals. And this sort of dual layering, which might be a little bit hard to see without color or shading. It's essentially one layer of plating wrapped around another, and there's these sections in here you can kind of see between. So it's one layer of protection is this darker part, and then this outer part is over the top. So it's kind of like a composite. I don't know if that's really the correct term for that, but it's meant to be reinforced with the two layers to protect the body or wherever important parts better. Okay, unlike some of the other more long and coat type garments, this one's going to go almost completely down to the feet. But I want to do kind of like armor that's going to protect the lower half of the body, lower torso. Okay, we want to sort of round out here to show that this is a kind of thicker, hard plating. It's not meant to be like a fabric. This is actually more metallic. What we can do is we can have the same sort of darker accent coloring on the inside. We'll have this cover a little bit further down, lower midsection. Wouldn't really make sense to have protection go around and then leave like a gap right kind of the crotch area. That would be very kind of impractical for armor. We'll go ahead and save our progress. Now for the arms, this particular style of clothing this race uses is kind of a big fan of these longer billowing sleeves. Something you'd see kind of inspired by like a Japanese kimono type design. And so this will be covering the hand, so the fingers down here. And so one thing you might see with this style of clothing in non-armor, you might have the kind of ribbons sewn in, just like you see on like the cuffs and sleeves of like a priestess robe. But for something armored, because it wouldn't make sense to have torso coverings and nothing protecting the limbs. You have a similar style of plating that covers part of the vitals on the arms, using that similar kind of dual layered plating style. And we really do need to revisit the idea of color palettes on stream. Maybe that can be a topic for the future, since each of these races that's part of this universe with the different outfits we're designing here, we've talked a bit in the past when we were working on this format here. We talked about some of the color palettes found in the clothing and the armor and whatnot. So we have talked about it, but not really at length. Ooh, we got a drop a beat and a small Raku mode from Red Dragon. All right. We can do that real quick. Let me pause the BGM. What we'll do is I will here. Let's do this so we get the most out of that many points. I'll do the beat first, then I'll turn on small mode so that they're not kind of stacked, and then we'll see how long it takes me to remember to turn off small mode. So let me make sure we're muted on BGM. Let me turn on my headphones. And let's see. I was kind of thinking maybe if the drop a beat redeem came up on stream today that I'd do something kind of drum and bassy, since it's one of my favorite types of electronic genres and always fun to kind of improvise some things when it comes to drum and bass ideas. So let's go ahead and do that. Maybe we'll rehash some things, similar ideas from previous ones. So we see what we come up with. All right. I spat all over my tablet. That's just great. Okay, small mode. I guess that's normally not a problem because my tablet's not right in front of my face. My main screen's usually back up against the wall. Gross. I should get a cover for it. Yeah, I don't have a screen protector over it. Fortunately, I don't push really hard with my stylus when I draw, so I'm not really at risk of like scraping the screen. But it's fairly easy to clean with like a microfabric cloth. All right. Well, let's leave that there. I'll stand on my tablet for a bit. That's one thing I looked at when I was trying to figure out what to replace my Cintiq with. Was a year ago now almost. And this particular tablet, it doesn't have a tempered glass screen. I think this is just like a regular, I don't know what it's made of, like an LCD type screen. But I looked up whether or not people had issues with the surface getting scuffed or scratched, and people said that's not really an issue unless you're the type that puts a ton of pressure with your stylus, and I don't do that. And to compare that style to friend of the channel Pwups, when they draw, they don't have a screen tablet like this. It's an external separate tablet you draw on and then you look at the screen. But I've been told that when drawing, and Wazzy told me this too, Pwups puts a ton of pressure, so they're basically engraving the surface. I can only imagine what that drawing tablet looks like. It's probably got like deep lines cut in it, which definitely wouldn't be good if you're using a screen tablet like this. But the Cintiq was glass surface, I think, with a display underneath, which is probably why the thing was so heavy. This XP pen one I've been using for a while is a fraction of the weight, which makes it good for the arm that I have it on. That was a good choice, looking back. Not only with the type of hardware, but deciding to put it up on an arm to loft out of the way. It gives me so much more desk space. And I can do things like, if I need to read something or have the screen be closer, I can just swing the tablet out and then put it back when I'm done. And it's up out of the way. Oh, I forgot to turn the music back on. Let's do that. Okay, let's keep working our way down. Finish the footwear, and then we'll see where that puts us here with this particular armor design. Red Dragon asks, what arm did I get for my tablet? I don't remember the name of the model. I think I might have sent it to you on Discord at some point when I got it. But I think we were talking about it way back. I could look it up if let me see. I'll just go search our DM chat real quick. I could save a step. Let's see. See the one that you used. Was it an Amazon listing? I don't see it. Maybe I didn't send it to you. Which is possible. Let me look and see. I can go into my Amazon listing and grab it if you want the model number. That was purchased in 24, I think. I should be able to find it. Give me a sec. Short break while we run the clock out on small mode for me to go dive through my Amazon purchase history and see what the heck I bought. That would have been, when was that? Early in the year, or was it 23? How long have I had this thing? Oh, I see it. It's an Ergotron. Here. I'll send it to you in Discord. This one, 34 inches, up to 25-pound max weight. I'll send it to you. Alright, there goes. The arm itself has held up pretty well. Considering I move my monitor around a decent amount, I haven't noticed it sagging or losing strength. So if I can get several years out of it, then I'll consider that a decent purchase. Okay, let's do the footwear. I also want to put some writing on the outfit itself, since this particular race's writing system, like the way they write their written language rather, is a little bit different from others, but was kind of inspired by some of the way things are written in Japanese. Okay. We'll do some mirror. We'll merge everything down. Now we can fix everything aligned with the center, kind of center plane here. Yeah, arms aren't cheap, but they're kind of meant to be durable. So I imagine you're not going to be replacing those very often if they're well made. That Ergotron brand, I think that was one of the most highly reviewed ones that I saw looking around. But I figured if I was going to shell out the money to replace my tablet, I might as well buy a reliable piece of hardware. Oh, you're right. Timer is done. Now like another 10 minutes. Shows you how close I'm paying attention. Kind of curious. Okay, I looked up the price that I paid for that. About $200 USD. Yeah, I think that seemed on par with other competing brands I saw for that type, that had that type of weight bearing, a load limit, I guess. What I do like is that the arm itself can extend forwards a decent amount, and it's got a pretty good vertical range too, so vertical and horizontal, which is handy. Okay, so let's take stock of our first concept here. Again, a little bit different in style because this is the only kind of coat we've done so far. I think so. This particular race, if we're talking like in universe lore, they are sister worlds with the kind of fire-based group up here. This one, or where's my pen? This one and this one, these two are from the same planet, the fire-based one. And their attire is very kind of more revealing compared to this race down here, which is interesting because the second race down here doesn't come from like a cold planet. It's just their customary attire tends to conceal themselves more. But if you compare them side by side, the styles are pretty different. You see a lot more kind of longer coats and robes with armor plating and whatnot. But up here, we have a lot more cutoff garments, shorts, shorter dresses, vests, or like sleeveless outfits. And even the armor tends to be a little bit less kind of heavy, like lighter armor. I believe this is the model that's supposed to be wearing armor. So thicker, like heat-proof fabrics and layers. More flexible and durable under layers that are meant for deflecting projectiles or piercing. But down here you see more of an kind of a idea based around that layered plating in the armor we're talking about. Okay, let us move on to the more casual wear for this group down here. I see Red Dragon's back. It says, yeah, my tablet's just on my desk and gets in the way most of the time. Yeah, I think you sent me your latest setup, and I can't remember if it had a shot of your tablet and everything that's on like the desk area. We talked about it a bit before, and I think I sent you a picture of my old setup. Having something as big as a Cintiq, which I think was taller than my XP Pen tablet, but it was definitely thicker and much heavier. And because it was on a swiveling, like an easel that flips down, I could only move it back so far before it's taking up space and falling off my desk. I couldn't really move it while it was resting on the table. So I only had maybe, I don't know, a foot of space between the edge of the desk that I'm up against and the space that I could move the tablet back. And so getting the arm for my drawing tablet, which is my main monitor, that's why it's a fairly big deal. If it was a side monitor and I could just swing it in from the sides, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But my drawing monitor is my main that I normally just view everything on, and that it doubles as a drawing surface. So yeah, it was a pretty big game changer to be able to just get it out of the way and move it around freely. I don't think I'd ever go back to having a stationary on-desk mounted drawing tablet. It's also worth noting, just for the record, as we talked about it a bit before, between the arm and the tablet, it was still like less than half the cost of what I paid for the old tablet, my old Cintiq. Pretty sure it was like $2,600. But I saved up to buy it a long time ago when I got my current job. I always wanted a drawing tablet, and it was one of the first things I bought. I got a good deal on it too. It was on sale. I think I got a couple $100 off of it. If I had bought it at full price, it would have been closer to $2,800 or $3,000. Again, this is way back in the day. And Wacom Cintiq products have not gotten cheaper, despite there being a lot more competition now with drawing tablet tech. And so I don't think I'd ever buy one of those again. They're nice. They're very good products, but I'm not a professional. Like, my job doesn't pay for it. This one I have now was much cheaper and does exactly what I need it to do. It's more lightweight. And so I got no real complaints. Took a little bit of getting used to because the input's a little different, but after a few sessions, I don't even notice. But I had that old Cintiq for, let's see, I got it in, I think I got it in like 2009. So that's probably like 13 years or so. 13 or 14 years of use out of one single piece of hardware. That's pretty good lifespan. I had to replace it because it was dying. It was not working anymore. And I couldn't find anywhere that could fix it easily. So I said, I'm just going to replace it with something a bit more compact or lightweight. If it hadn't started failing, I'd still be using it. But the HD versions of that type of tablet was a Wacom 22, I think, 22 inch, which is pretty large. I wonder what those cost now. Wacom 22 HD. Cintiq 22 HD. Especially with the tariffs now, I can't imagine that is a cheap product. Let's see what it says on the site. I'm kind of curious now. Other competitive solutions would have been like a Gaomon, which is what Waza uses, or a Huion, which I've heard they're pretty good too. Okay, let's see. Oh, interesting. I wonder if this is the exact same product. Wacom Cintiq 22. This is not the same product, because this one is showing $1,300 USD. But just looking at the actual product itself, this one's a different model. Let me go look at their tablet. I wonder if they couldn't have discontinued the Cintiq line. That was one of their most popular professional grade drawing tablets. Oh, here we go. Cintiq Pro 22. That's what I'm looking for. All right, that is more in line with what I was thinking. And this is kind of like the more modern iteration of what I used to have. I think I had a 21 or 22. The Wacom Cintiq Pro 22 is $3,000 USD. And I don't think they go lower than that. There was a touch version. I don't know if they even have a 22 in the touch version anymore. Oh, let me see. Check here and we'll get back to work. 22. Cintiq Pro. Yeah. The Pro is what I was thinking of. Weird. The model distribution is not the same as when I got mine. I could just tell because even the model itself is a little different, but $3K, that is not cheap. Knowing the type of function I get out of this XP pen one, I would just get another one of these if this one broke or stopped working. As long as I can get several years out of it, and then that's money well spent. I think this one was $400. Red Dragon says, my first tablet was a mouse mat kind of thing. Yeah, I started with a Wacom Intuos 8x12, and that was one of the first things I bought when I wanted to get in digital drawing, and I did not like it. I've always been a pencil on paper artist, so the idea of drawing on a surface that was different from where my pen or pencil rather was threw me. I tried for like a year trying to get used to it, and I just couldn't do it. So I got respect for people that can use that type of hardware and draw effectively. Again, that's what Plops uses, and they do really good work. And we've talked about that before. I just can't get my head around drawing on one surface and not being able to see what I'm drawing on and trying to look up at a screen. It just threw me off. Okay, we can actually leave this. What we want is kind of like this overlapping part where it's going to secure the coat together over on this side. So we'll do that when we mirror it. But yeah, it's an interesting look at hardware. My hope is that I don't have to invest more money in hardware for a while on the drawing side, since it seems like I can't escape having to invest in computer-based hardware every other year or so. At the very least, not having to replace all of my drawing materials is what I can hope for. So here on the male model, we're going to go for the kind of flared sleeves look. Maybe a little bit less billowy, but a similar style. And here's the back trailing edge underneath for the coat. I go for kind of a high top shoe that still has the same kind of layering idea as the other parts of the outfit, the clothing. And what we'll do is we'll get most of the details in here, and then I'm going to mirror it and then add in the rest, since some of the stuff will be symmetrical and some of it won't. And then what we'll do is we'll see how that looks compared to the other model and kind of take stock of what we've done so far. And that should give us our first section of the second row of the concepts here. Okay, so we want to duplicate this layer, flip it, then add the rest of the details. And I'll merge that down so it's all in one layer. We can hide the center plane and the model. And now we can work on the non-symmetrical parts of the design. And so here's how the whole thing is secured together. But we can also add some of the writing, like decorative text or characters on the actual front of the garment. Oh, I might have forgot to actually draw in pants. Yeah, I did. Whoops, I can fix that. There's not much we can really see because it's being obscured by parts of the coat, but there are pants beneath that layer. Can't go pantsless. Not for this particular racist style of clothing. Some of the other ones might have like an aesthetic that is pantsless, but not these folks. Okay, so we'll move this one over and we'll take stock of what we've got. I think this particular casual clothing design is a little less detailed than the other one compared to the armor, but the idea is that it conveys a similar kind of style and focus for the type of clothing. The long, obscuring, kind of covering garments, but less armored because it's not meant to be protective wear. Let's move you to all the way down here. Okay, let's go ahead and save our progress. And we can also kind of compare where we're at. I was thinking about this before the stream started as far as what I want this front-facing sort of symmetrical template to look like. And we started with the races that weren't part of this template here, just to kind of complete everything. Once I get through the ones on here that weren't part of the other template, I'm going to finish out the rest of the 11 races here so we have them all represented with this style. And then likewise, I'll probably go back and do the same thing for this one at some point because this format's useful. But this one is meant to show more of the detail from a head-on perspective. And it's, again, a style I don't really do too often. So that's why I wanted to use this to practice. So let's see who's left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just one. I think it is. I think there's just one set left. Oh, okay. This next one, I gotta think a little bit. Their style is similar to these folks up here. I may have to go back and dig through some of my reference material to see what I want to focus on specifically. I know there's some kind of shorter coats. We could do that. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll switch up and do more casual wear for this first one. And I gotta keep an eye on the time. Tonight is one of the few exceptions where I need to kind of cut off right at the 2-hour mark because I gotta go finish packing and I gotta eat dinner and then probably go to sleep. I wish I had my reference sheets from my sketches just nearby. It'd be a lot easier if I could pull those up and take a look at some of the stuff I can use here, but it's all right. Okay, let's think of how this style is going to work. The idea here is that we have a short kind of cut off jacket that cuts off at the midsection, similar in design to what we did up here, but this is more of kind of like a shorter kind of torso garment. What I want here is a coat. And I think I can kind of illustrate that if I'm just trying to tighten up some of the things in here. There we go. I'm trying to think of where I've seen a coat that looks like that before. These are some kind of decorative writing characters that are meant to kind of accent the overall color, and or accent the garment with a different color. Like, to give kind of an example, I need to do kind of a full overview of the writing systems for each of the races. I haven't written like full out vocabulary languages, but it's more of a style of the writing for the characters. So like this particular decorative style that you'd see in like lettering or kind of like runic marks looks more like this. And so it'd be kind of these larger curved shapes with like circles and other parts around it. Again, taking an idea of like runic glyphs almost, just a bit more simplified. That's what the decorative marks look like for this particular race. You compare that, for example, to these ones up here. And you can see it a little bit on the outfits for the female model, but their writing system is a lot more blocky. It's angular, and you have parts that kind of connect like this. And so the decorative writing style looks like that more. And I come up with kind of a distinct way of using the decorative writing for 11 different races, which was an interesting experiment. But I try and incorporate that on the outfits to show. underneath the coat, we just have kind of a regular cloth shirt. And what we can do is have the cloth shirt kind of tucked in. And this particular model has it's like a belt and pants type outfit. But unlike the kind of baggy, more fatigue looking ones, we'll say it's kind of more form-fitting just on this particular design. Kind of like leggings. Maybe slightly thicker material for leggings. And down here, the leggings, maybe should make that look a bit more like there's a cuff here, but it's going to cut off right around the knees. And then the calves are exposed. And for the shoes, we have kind of like this layered, latched look for street shoes. Simple enough for casual wear. My allergies are bugging me a little bit today. I think it's because all the plants are sprouting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take what we've done here and we're going to mirror it, roughen some of the details, and I think we're pretty much done for this particular model with the kind of casual clothes look. This one's going to be set 5. Kind of denote the color here, we'll just do a little bit of kind of cross hatching to show that this area is different color than like the bare areas where the skin's showing. can remove the writing. We only want this on one side. Bit more of a simple design, and not a lot of detail because it's meant to be more casual wear compared to armor. But I like the idea of kind of a shorter and cut off coat. I don't know if it's got a name, and if it does, it kind of escapes me for the moment, but like an upper torso jacket or coat, since it cuts off right around the midsection. All right, let's take stock of what we've done here. What I'll do is I'll kind of recap where we started and where we've ended up. We'll move on to the male model next time. Or one thing I'm thinking about doing, and I talked about this last time, another idea that I had for a drawing stream where we talk about character concepts and like design philosophy around outfits and all that fun stuff. I thought about coming to the stream with a bunch of designs already drawn. So it would be something like one of these templates, but with all of the character male and female models drawn in and done. And instead of doing the discussion on everything from the ground up, instead it's more of like a presentation of, okay, here's set A, what are the ideas in like the armor, how does it relate to the race and their culture, and the typical elements found in their clothing and armor. And then we talk through each of the ones that are done. And it wouldn't be something like this where you've seen them before. They'd be all new. And I could just draw them offline and have a full set. And we spend some time kind of dissecting the design and maybe talking about color paletting and other things with the completed designs already sketched like this. And we haven't done that before. So I'm tempted to give it a try for one stream. I could definitely find enough to talk about, like no doubt in my mind. And maybe that would be a good thing to bring in an artist guest for, especially when we start getting the idea of color paletting and whatnot. So I'll see. Maybe I can rope Pups into coming on, since they're a much more comprehensive character designer than I am, and they can tell me why my ideas or my designs look terrible, maybe how to fix them. So that's an idea for not a drawing stream really. I guess it's more of a chill stream or a chatting stream where we talk through the different ideas, break them apart, and have a discussion. And so I'll see. It'll depend on how much time I have. I could probably sketch out a full template of one of these. Like there's 6 and 6, or 1, 2, 3, 3 and 3 rather. I could probably fill an entire one of these if I just sat down for a couple hours in an evening. Especially if I pull some of my old designs out of the archives, which that might be a whole nother level of discussion. I don't know. I'll think about the best way to kind of present the information. I think that could be a fun change of pace from what we're doing. Maybe we call it Salt Table Sessions Light, with just a couple of us talking about designs and shooting holes in my own work for once. And so, and we don't have time to do another one, but I will save here, and I think we'll wrap up. We'll have to go 2 hours on the dot, and we'll get ready to wrap here. Let me go see who's online. Maybe can raid on this Wednesday. Let's see. Oh, I see Tundra Tales online. One of my VTuber peers. And they are playing Oblivion. First time playing Oblivion, huh? Okay. We can go see how the Oblivions are going. We'll queue that up. Let me go ahead and pause the BGM real quick. And we will go to outro. And we will go ahead and wrap up there for today. Thanks to all the folks who came and stopped by and hung out while we talked character design. We finished, let me actually look at my list here. We finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total models, which I think is more than the last time. I think we only did 4. So productivity's not bad considering how much I yapped. I'll take that. But I will work on the stream schedule for next week once I'm back in town. So might be late Sunday or Monday when I get it posted. But we should be more or less back to a regular rotation next week. I will figure that out. But in the meantime, hope everyone has a good rest of your day or evening. And I will catch you folks in the next one. Now let's go see how the Oblivion is going. Catch you later.